Marjorie Taylor Greene came to destroy Bernie Sanders on live TV, but one letter made her drop the script and change everything. She attacked. He unfolded a letter. What happened next? No one saw coming. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because when Marjorie Taylor Greene goes head-to-head with Bernie Sanders and ends up questioning everything she stood for, you'll want to see how it unfolds. The stage lights flared bright. 2 podiums, 2 mics, one audience that didn't blink. Marjorie Taylor Greene stepped forward first, confident, loud, unapologetic. "You say you care about the working class, Bernie," she said, voice cutting like glass. "But your policies would tax them into poverty while giving the government more power to fail." Scattered applause, sharp, divided. Sanders didn't move. Greene pointed toward him. "Tell me, Senator, how much freedom is left when you have to beg Washington for a dentist appointment?" A stronger applause. Her eyes locked onto him. Sanders remained silent. Then, calmly, he opened a folder on the podium. No anger, no rush, just a single sheet pulled out and passed to the moderator. "Before I answer, I'd like to share what happened last month, in a town neither of us has visited." Greene squinted. A map appeared on the screen behind them. Small dot. Rural area. No headlines. Then came the number. 27,412 Americans lost dental coverage under Greene-backed budget cuts. The audience quieted. But what Bernie pulled out next wasn't a stat. It was a letter, and it changed the tone of everything. Sanders didn't raise his voice. He didn't smile. He simply unfolded the paper in his hand. Weathered, handwritten, real. "This is from Ruth Carter," he began. 67 years old, widow, Kentucky. He looked straight at Greene. "Dear Senator Sanders, I don't need much, but I needed teeth to eat. After the funding cuts, I was told to wait until next year, so I mashed bread with water. I used pliers to pull a molar. I cried alone in the bathroom because I couldn't afford to scream." The room went still. Even Greene blinked slower. Sanders gently folded the letter. "You talk about freedom," he said. "But what kind of freedom leaves someone choosing between painkillers and protein?" No one clapped. They didn't need to. Greene shifted behind the podium. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't speak. Sanders placed the letter down beside the folder, then added one more document. A chart, projected behind them. Dental emergency hospital visits. Pre versus post-budget cut. Spikes, counties. Thousands. Sanders looked at the crowd. "I believe in freedom too," he said softly. "Freedom from hunger. Freedom from shame." But he wasn't done, because the next thing he reached for wasn't paper. It was video. Sanders turned toward the moderator. "If we're going to talk about policy," he said, "let's talk about its consequences." The screen behind them flickered to life. A home video. Grainy, real. An elderly woman, Ruth Carter, sitting at her kitchen table. She held a cup of soup in trembling hands, one tooth visibly missing. "I don't want sympathy," she said to the camera. "I want my dignity back. I worked, I paid, and now I'm waiting for my government to remember me." The audience didn't breathe. Greene stared at the screen, her mouth tight, arms crossed, but her grip slightly loosened. Then came a nurse's voice. "We see more dental emergencies now than ever before. Broken teeth, infections, people gluing their dentures with hardware glue." A collective gasp. Sanders let the video play for just another moment, then motioned to cut it off. He turned back calmly. "I'm not showing this to embarrass you," he said. "I'm showing this because somewhere along the way, We stopped looking. Greene stood still. No comeback, no slogan, just silence. But what she said next wasn't what anyone, not even Bernie, expected. Greene stepped forward, not with her usual fire, but with something else. Stillness. She took a slow breath. "My father," she said quietly, "worked construction his whole life. He never missed a day. He also never had dental insurance." The audience was still. "I remember him using a bottle cap to press down on a broken tooth. I remember him not smiling in photos anymore." She paused. "I share your outrage, Senator. I just don't always share your solutions." Sanders blinked, not in disagreement, but in recognition. Greene turned to the screen behind them, which now showed a black background with Ruth's name still in the corner. "She deserves better," Greene said, "and maybe we've all been too focused on winning the argument, instead of fixing the problem." A murmur in the crowd, not applause, but warmth. She pulled out a small envelope. "I came here ready to prove you wrong," she added. "But instead, I started wondering if maybe I've been looking at the wrong target." She handed the envelope to the moderator. "This," she said, "is a bill I drafted for emergency dental coverage access, built with your office's public data." Gasps. Sanders stared at her, eyebrows raised. Greene nodded once. "I didn't expect to say this today, but I'll co-sponsor it, if you will." But would Bernie accept the offer, or challenge her to go one step further? The moderator opened the envelope slowly. Inside, a crisp two-page policy draft. At the top, Emergency Dental Relief Act, bipartisan proposal. The room buzzed. Reporters leaned forward. Camera lights shifted. Sanders took a moment, studied Greene. "You're serious?" he asked. Greene gave a single nod. "I'm tired of watching us talk past each other." Sanders glanced at the document. State-based matching funds, income-scaled eligibility, mobile clinics. He looked up, surprised. "You used our data," he said. Greene nodded. "And your logic." A pause. Sanders stepped toward the podium. "You know," he said with a quiet smile, "I came here ready for a battle. But maybe it's time we start building bridges instead of burning microphones." Applause. Real applause. Greene looked down, clearly holding back emotion, then looked up with confidence. "This isn't surrender," she said. "It's strategy." Sanders nodded. "And compassion," he added. "Let's not forget that." They stood together now, no longer across the stage, but side by side. But would the crowd embrace the unity or demand the chaos they came for? 2 weeks later, the Emergency Dental Relief Act passed committee unanimously. A rare joint press conference followed. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bernie Sanders stood behind the same podium. No teleprompters, no political handlers, just two people once opponents, now co-authors. Greene opened. "I didn't lose a debate. I gained perspective." Sanders followed. "And I didn't win. I just finally got heard." Reporters didn't know what to ask, because for once, there wasn't a side to spin. Later that evening, the clip of their exchange replayed on every major network, but it wasn't the shouting that went viral. It was the handshake. On TikTok, one caption read, "They didn't agree on everything, but they agreed on what mattered." In a classroom in Ohio, a civics teacher replayed the moment. A student raised her hand. "Is that what politics used to be like?" The teacher paused. "No," she said, "but maybe it's what it can become." And at a small kitchen table in Kentucky, Ruth Carter watched from a cracked laptop screen. smiling for the first time in years. Now, it's your turn. When you're offered a choice between proving someone wrong or doing something right, which will you choose? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe the strongest voices are the ones that choose unity over ego.